Stop what you are doing and look at these two pepper plants for a moment. They are the same age, the same variety, started from the same little tray on the same windowsill back in spring. This one on my right is heavy with fruit, glossy peppers hanging in bunches, more flowers opening behind them, the whole plant leaning under the load. And this one on my left is tall and green and leafy and beautiful, and almost bare. A flower here and there that opens in the morning and lies on the soil by nightfall. Here is what keeps me up a little, and why I wanted to sit with you today. A person looks at that second plant, that big healthy nothing of a plant, and decides they simply cannot grow peppers. They blame the seed, the weather, their own hands. And they give up in July when the whole fix was a 5-minute homemade mix, and one habit almost nobody keeps. This is the mix that makes peppers explode with fruit, and it is not a jug from the store. It is a handful of things already in your kitchen. Stay with me and I will build it in front of you, and I will tell you the one quiet step that decides whether it works or is wasted. The trouble almost always starts the same way, and I know because I caused it myself for years. We love our pepper plants a little too much in the beginning. When a pepper is young, it wants nitrogen, the nutrient that builds leaves and green stems, and early on that is exactly right. So we feed it, and it thanks us with a lush, handsome plant. And because it looks so good, we keep feeding the same thing, sure that more of a good thing must be better. But a pepper's needs turn a corner the day the first flower buds appear, and most of us never turn with it. That plant no longer wants a rich nitrogen meal. It wants phosphorus and potassium now, and only a little nitrogen. Keep pouring nitrogen onto a flowering pepper, and you get exactly what you saw on my left. A big leafy plant too, comfortable to bother making fruit. The old men in my family had a phrase for a creature that gets fat and lazy on easy food. They would say it has forgotten winter is coming. There is a second thing under the surface, and it is the pepper's own particular heartbreak. Blossom end rot. You have seen it, maybe without knowing the name. A dark sunken leathery patch on the bottom of a pepper that was doing fine. Folks are told this is a calcium shortage, and they run out and buy calcium. And here is the truth that no bottle prints on its label. Most of the time the soil has calcium enough. The problem is the plant cannot carry it to the fruit, because calcium only rides up through the plant on a steady stream of water. Let the soil swing from bone dry to soaked and back, and that stream breaks, and the fruit is starved of calcium even while the dirt is full of it. So the cure for the ugliest problem peppers get is not a product at all. It is a steady hand on the water. Hold that thought because it comes back. So the goal was never to feed harder. It is to feed the right thing at the right moment, wake the life in the soil, and keep the water steady so the plant can carry what it already has. That is the whole job, and the mix is half of it. Here is everything that goes into it, and every bit is likely within reach of where you stand. Start with 1 gallon of water with the chlorine taken out. Do not wave this off. City water carries chlorine and chloramine put there on purpose to kill microbes, and half of what this mix does is feed microbes. So pouring chlorinated water in is like sowing seed on concrete. Catch rain if you can, or let a bucket of tap water sit out uncovered overnight, and the chlorine drifts off on its own. Warm it to about the heat of a comfortable bath, because warmth wakes the little workers faster than cold. First in goes 2 tablespoons of molasses, and not for the pepper. For the living soil. Molasses is dark and sweet, and carries sugars and a whisper of minerals that soil bacteria seize on, and a thriving crowd of microbes is what unlocks the food already sitting in your dirt and hands it to the roots in a form they can drink. 2 tablespoons a gallon, no more, or you feed the wrong crowd and call the ants to supper. Next, the piece that turns a general tonic into a fruiting mix. Potassium. My honest favorite is 1 level tablespoon of clean wood ash from an untreated hardwood fire. Ash carries real potassium and a scatter of trace minerals, the true article and not a claim. But heed my warning, because I earned it on a row of plants I loved. Ash is strongly alkaline. A pepper likes its soil close to neutral, a little on the mild side, and 1 tablespoon nudges it kindly. But a heavy hand shoves the soil the wrong way and locks every nutrient up tight, calcium first of all. 1 level tablespoon. If you have no ash, a tea of comfrey leaves steeped a couple of weeks is a genuinely fine potassium source, and I trust it far more than the jars of eggshell water people leave souring on the counter, believing they are brewing calcium. That water pulls almost nothing out of the shell. Real calcium comes from finely crushed eggshell or a spoon of gypsum worked into the bed at planting, and from steady watering, not from a cloudy jar. Then only if your lower leaves are yellowing between the veins, while the veins stay green. Add 1 teaspoon of Epsom salt. That yellowing is the plant asking for magnesium, which sits at the heart of the green that turns sunlight into food, and a teaspoon answers it. But if the leaves are already a deep, honest green, leave it out entirely. More is not better. Season the plant in front of you, not the plant in a book. Stir it all with a clean stick until nothing sits gritty at the bottom. It will smell faintly sweet and of the earth. That is your mix, and it cost you pennies. This next part is the one everybody skips, and it is the whole game, so let me hand it to you carefully. It comes in 2 pieces. The first is when you use it. Do not pour this on a tiny seedling. That plant still wants a gentle start and room to build its frame. This mix earns its place the moment you see the first flower buds, and every 10 to 14 days after through the fruiting run. Feed by the flower, not the calendar. My grandfather never fed by the date. He would crouch, look a plant in the face, and say it would tell you plainly when it was hungry if you had the patience to listen. The second piece saved my harvest after I ruined a whole flat learning it the hard way, so take it free from me. Never pour this rich mix onto dry soil. When the ground is parched, the microbes are dormant and huddled deep, and a strong brew hitting dry roots shocks them and drives salt straight in, and a pepper is tender about salt at its roots. Water first with plain water until the soil darkens, wait 10 minutes, then pour the mix slow in a circle a hand's width from the stem, never against the stem itself, in the cool of morning or the evening, never in the blaze of noon. On the days between, water plain and steady. Do not turn every drink into a feeding, because the soil needs clear water to rinse away any salt and remember, to carry calcium up to the fruit, so blossom end rot never gets a foothold. The steady water is not a side note. It is doing as much work as the mix. A pepper can be covered in flowers and still hand you nothing, and this is where more crops are quietly lost than to any feeding mistake. So learn this. A pepper flower is not like a cucumber's. It carries both parts inside the single bloom, so it can pollinate itself, but it needs a shake to do it, a bee's buzz or a gust of wind to knock the pollen loose inside the flower. Grow your peppers in a still corner with no wind and few bees, and the blooms open, wait, and fall, unpollinated. The fix is almost comically simple. Once a day while they flower, give each plant a gentle shake, or tap the stem just behind an open bloom with your finger, and you will sometimes see a faint puff of pollen let go. Do that, and flowers that would have dropped will set into peppers. If you grow indoors, a small fan on low for a spell each day does the same work the wind would. There is a thief in the summer heat most folks never suspect, and it is the heat itself. A pepper is fussy about temperature in a way it does not advertise. When the days climb past about 90 degrees, or the nights stay above the mid-70s, the pollen inside those flowers simply goes lifeless, and the plant drops its blooms rather than waste itself trying to set fruit it cannot support. Just a couple of days of that kind of heat is enough. Cold works the same cruelty from the other side, and nights down near 50 will make a pepper sulk and drop just as fast. There is not much you can do to command the sky, but you can help. A light shade cloth over the plants in a brutal spell. A good 3 inches of mulch to keep the roots cool and the moisture even. And patience, because when the weather softens back into the 70s and 80s, the plant will pick right up and flower again. Many a gardener has cursed a healthy pepper in August that was only waiting out the heat. Once you start, here is the calendar to watch so you do not lose faith too soon. In the first week to 10 days, the leaves deepen to a richer green, and the plant seems to gather itself. Within 2 to 3 weeks, the flowering picks up in earnest, and more of those flowers hold and set instead of dropping. By 3 to 4 weeks, with steady water and a daily shake, you are picking peppers and watching new ones swell behind them. And here is a small gift for those of you who grow the hot kinds. A pepper that is kept a touch lean on water as its fruit ripens will often come in hotter, because that mild stress is what drives the plant to build more of its fire. For sweet peppers, keep the water even and full. For a chili you want to bite back, ease off just a little near the end. Pick often too, because a plant relieved of its ripe fruit turns straight around and sets more, while one left loaded down decides its work is finished and slows. Walk down the fertilizer aisle sometime and count the bottles. One for bloom, one for yellow leaves, one for rot, one for size, each in bright plastic with a tidy dose and a price. Buy the set and you have spent $30 and stocked a shelf with plastic that will outlast us both. Yet every promise on those labels is answered by a gallon of rainwater, a spoon of molasses, a spoon of ash, a steady hand on the hose, and a daily shake of the plant. My grandmother had a soft word she used when she saw a thing thrown out that still had good left in it. Not a scold, but almost a sigh of respect for the thing and the hands that made it. I hear that word every time I watch a gardener pay for a problem his own kitchen already solves. Let me set it all out plainly, the way I would over the fence. Start with a gallon of dechlorinated, slightly warm water. Stir in 2 tablespoons of molasses to feed the soil life. Add 1 level tablespoon of clean wood ash, or a comfrey tea, for the potassium that drives fruiting. Add a teaspoon of Epsom salt, only if the lower leaves yellow between green veins. Wait for the first flower buds before you use it, then feed every 10 to 14 days. Always water plain first, then pour the mix slow around the roots in the cool of the day, never on dry ground, never on the stem. Between feedings, water clean and steady and mulch, so the calcium rides up and the rot stays away. Shake the plants gently each day while they flower. Shade them in a savage heat and be patient through it. And pick your peppers often to keep the plant reaching. Before you wander back to your plants, do an old man a favor. Tell me down below where you are growing and which peppers you love, the sweet bells, the little fiery ones, the long frying kinds. Tell me the trick your own grandmother swore by, the odd thing an uncle used to stir into the water. I read every one late at night with my tea, and I learn as much from you as you might from me. Then go out and stand with your peppers a while in the quiet. Feed them right, wake the soil, shake the flowers loose, and keep the water true. Feed the soil, and the soil will feed you back, in peppers, and in a patience the garden hands you whether you asked for it or not. That is the old way. And the old way still holds.